I am Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, is this thing on? Are we live? Oh, well, all right. I guess we're rolling with this anyway. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and we'll take a look at them after round one. Dominaria United brought us all sorts of new tribal lords, and today I'm going to look at the worst tribe in Magic the Gathering, Merfolk, and see if this new lord has brought it to competitive play. Okay, jokes aside here, I have really disliked Merfolk as a tribe for a very long time. I've felt like it kind of does a lot of things that other tribal decks do, but just worse. It's not particularly interactive. It doesn't have as many lords as something like Sliver does. It doesn't have the late game inevitability that something like Death and Taxes does. And I just haven't been the biggest fan of the tribe. And I want to know if having yet another 2-mana lord is going to change that in my mind. So, Vodalian Hexcatcher is a 2-mana lord. Now, this is a 1/1 innately, unlike many of the other lords, which are 2/2s, and this is relevant for some Plague Engineer-like situations. But in addition to just giving Merfolk you control +1/+1, you can also sacrifice a Merfolk to counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1, which should sound pretty familiar. This is something that we've seen before. So essentially, we are looking to be the beatdown. We are looking to play cards like Lord of Atlantis, the Hexcatcher, and Master of the Pearl Trident. Most of these give our creatures island walk, and there's a lot of blue decks in Legacy, so we are looking to like go hard, go fast, kill our opponent. Now, one thing about this specific version of Merfolk is that you can give your opponents islands by kicking the Tide Shaper. So when it ETBs, if it was kicked, target land becomes an island for as long as Tide Shaper remains on the battlefield. And if your opponent does control an island, this thing is a 2/2. Convenient set of abilities that we've got stapled together here. And we do have a little bit more play in the form of Merfolk Trickster, which, when it enters the battlefield, you tap target creature an opponent controls, and it loses all abilities until end of turn. So this can be a way to force damage through or shut off an important like Hate Bear or utility creature from our opponent's side of the battlefield. I pulled a 5/0 deck list. I added 2 Curse Catchers over a 3-mana card that my loan program currently does not have access to. Shoutouts to Cardhoarder, by the way, for totally being awesome and having my back on just about everything. But some of these cards that are currently releasing as treasure chest only releases are currently really hard to get a hold of. Minsc and Boo, I'm looking at you. You know what you did. I need you. I need you for like Applejacks-based reasons. That'll be coming to the channel soon, folks. As far as the sideboard goes, we're primarily looking to shore up some weaknesses to certain combo decks, with Leyline of the Void and Leyline of the Void and Chalice of the Void, double voids here, in the sideboard offering to patch up those holes. Otherwise, we've got some things like Hurkyl's Recall, kind of serving as our meltdown, as our big Haymaker versus Artifact decks. And we are playing some blue elemental blasts because really Minsc and Boo is everywhere right now. The card's very good, very expensive, and is absolutely a legacy staple moving forward. I don't think I have too much else to say here. We will see how many times a Mutavault keeps me from casting my blue cards, and I complain about it, versus how many times Mutavault randomly attacks as like a 6/6 creature, because it is a Merfolk. On the note of lands here, we are not playing anything like Wastelands or Rishadan ports, although we are getting a little bonus utility in case we need to bounce something particularly problematic. With that said, I think I'm just going to go ahead and hop into some matches here. I've been wanting to try out some of these tribal decks like Merfolk and Goblins to kind of see how they improved. And so this league's on me, or maybe this league's on Moxfield. Let's say it's on Moxfield. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you like what you see today. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. One of the easiest ways to support my content for free. Let's battle. Okay, round 1 opening hand is pretty medium here. I have a Force of Will, but I really just want to play a whole bunch of Lords. I don't think this one's worth throwing back. I'm kind of hoping like an Aether Vial gets Force of Willed, and then I can just like have my opponent have used resources on this. Unless my opponent is playing a broken combo deck of some kind, I probably don't use this Force of Will. At least with the things that I have to pitch currently. But now the real question is, like, do I actually cast a Merfolk on my turn? If we're playing against Show and Tell, the answer is yes. If we're playing against Delver, the answer is no. If we're playing against, like, a Jeskai control deck, it would be super awkward for me to, like, have this card Prismatic Ending. I think it kind of is what it is, though. Tide Shaper. This is just a 2/2 base. I don't think I'm going to cast any spells here. I will probably put in Tide Shaper as just a 2/2. And then plan on beating down. I'm not going as fast as I could here, because I'm playing Scared of Days. The other thing I could do is just, like, keep Tide Shaper to pitch to Force of Will for the first removal spell. Which isn't crazy. Yeah, let's slow this down here. I don't know. This is maybe not correct, but I feel like protecting my more important lords is just a good idea. This time walks my opponent in some number of worlds in a way. Really awkward if this is Show and Tell, and I've just, like, totally played into my opponent's hand by not being aggressive. Alright, didn't get, like, an end of turn Brazen Borrower, which would have been pretty bad for me. Alright, some movement from my opponent. Bad lands. Oh shit, it's Grixis control, not Delver. That does nothing if I control Master of the Pearl Trident, and a lot if I don't. I'm just gonna let it go, though. Like, I might have bigger fish to fry. I definitely played scared this game, though, thinking I was playing against Delver, which is really going to cost me, because I'm absolutely the beatdown in this matchup. So that is what it is. The one that can attack for more next turn. But that's fine. Planning on doing that. Rats. Force pitching. Spell Pierce. I'm now very far behind. I've given my opponent time to set up. At some point, I'll get a True Name Nemesis into play, and, like, everything is fine. Islands are not good here. Haven't really drawn resources other than what was in my opening hand, which is leaving me in a really bad spot. I also can get, like, absolutely savaged by something like a Culligan's Command. Fatal Push is acceptable. Alright, life's bad. Otawara. Again, this is too many lands. I can potentially use this to, like, bounce a Planeswalker out of play or something. The good news is my opponent doesn't kill me quickly. The bad news is, like, this game is over and it just takes another 10 minutes. Alright. I guess let's not say always no to that. Here's a K command. Hey, I can bounce my Aether Vial. This spell has 2 targets, though, so that's not going to do anything. I don't want to bounce Baleful Strix and let them draw a card. Alright. So I'm now in the spot that you don't want to be versus Grixis control. And that's where I am, like, top decking, and I kind of have to play out my card every turn, because otherwise things like Snap Culligan Command, or Thoughtseize, or Hymn to Turok are live in a way that they otherwise wouldn't be. Stomp? Okay. Oh, just gonna fetch again, play a Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, this one is over in favor of my opponent. I needed to play this game out aggressively. Okay, maybe it's not. Maybe this resolves and my opponent doesn't have an edict. Okay. We're back in it, just like that. I'll eat 1 from Baleful Strix. The issue is that if I attack for 3, my opponent cracks back for 4. In a way that's not great for me. So, like, my opponent would attack for 5, 10, 15, and I'd be on a 3-turn clock. So I can't actually attack with my true name right now. I don't need much to change this, but my opponent gets to keep attacking with Strix while I can't attack. Malevolent Hermit. Wild. Pretty interesting choice. Front side doesn't have flying, right? Yeah, only the backside does. Sure. Okay, I thought I was about to get draw step K command or something. Yeah, I guess I can't really attack still. The team's starting to build up in a way that's meaningful, but I think Lord of Atlantis just eats a removal spell here. Yeah. At this point, I'm mostly not conceding because I want information on my opponent's deck list. Like, this is some weird tech that is often seen in a combo deck list, not so much a control deck list. You want to play the back end of this as a flyer. I mean, I'll bite and make you use the mana. That's fine. My opponent can play the backside of this and then the Bone Crusher Giant from exile. And then even if they attack and take some losses, it's not great for me, or they just keep attacking me for 3 in the air. Alright. Kick it. The full 5 mana. Draw my card. Okay. I can tap down a flyer on their turn. They'll really need to be holding these Bone Crusher Giants back. Notably, my Force of Wills get much worse. Alright. The idea here that, like, everything is just a 2-for-1. That's okay. Alright. Trickster. Tap that down. And only take 1. Yeah, my opponent is being the Baleful Strix beat down in a way that I'm not super happy with. Alright, I guess we kick this. Okay. My opponent gonna hardcast Force of Will at Tide Shaper? Okay. Just losing to these flyers. What if I draw like a Lord of Atlantis? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ugh. I can't really turn this True Name Nemesis sideways, because I think if I go for a double block on a Bone Crusher Giant, it's such a blowout a huge portion of the time. But my life total is going down in a way that's not reasonable. Yeah, this is a win such a huge portion of the time. I don't choose to believe that my opponent is Delver. Alright, I guess I hold back. And then hope to top deck another Lord next turn. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think my opponent's middle name is just Grind over there. I'm mostly just hoping that they're light on removal and that I top deck another Lord. Because I'm just dead in the air next turn. I'm also dead to them having a removal spell for this Lord of Atlantis so that they can block. But that kind of is what it is. Leaving this at 2, hoping to draw another Lord. That is a Cavern of Souls. This is other Merfolk. I have 4, 7, 10, even 12 if my opponent blocked. I am dead in the air. GG's. I am probably not going to do much as far as sideboarding goes. Blue Elemental Blast is okay. Dismember is okay. I'm not super interested in 2-for-1ing myself with Force of Will, because my opponent is looking to just bury me in cards. My Aether Vials get a lot worse against K-Command, but I don't know that I can cut them. Let's go Forces out, play some Dismembers to get opposing Baleful Strix and such out of the way, and play a couple of Blue Elemental Blasts as 1-mana counterspells. It seems to me there's going to be a lot of times where I reach a midpoint of the game where I do have the mana available. And I don't think I want to be pitching bodies. It's possible I might need the Force of Wills to just, like, try and end the game before something like a Plague Engineer could come down that could be a disaster, though. A pretty medium-looking hand. It doesn't have the density of Lords that I would like. It doesn't have a True Name Nemesis, which is one of the ways that I want to run away with the game. But I don't know that I get rid of a hand that has a decent mix of lands and spells like this. I don't know, it's possible this one isn't quite aggressive enough to be a keep. Alright, file goes up. That's really good. Do I want to hold this for later? I kind of just want to play this out as a 2-2. Because this doesn't have the greatest amount of value in the matchup. The thing is that it may allow my opponent to, like, Fatal Push or something. Oh, maybe I just cast the Flash one. Just get some degree of actual value out of not giving my opponent a true turn 1 play. Alright. End of turn, Merfolk Trickster. Pyroblast it. Sure. That can just happen. And then I'll put in the Curse Catcher. Alright, and on we go. Pile goes up. Another Trickster. I just want more Lords. I probably Vial in the Lord here and attack for 2. Yeah. Tap this. Yes. Lord. Beat in for 2. Definitely terrified of like a Plague Engineer though, because it would kill this, followed by this. Looks like that's not happening though. So that's nice. We're just beaten down. Alright, good things so far. Sooner or later, something very bad is going to happen to my beloved fish friend here. Let's see if it's now. Yeah, that would do it. This bounces tapped creatures. Yeah, so my opponent's going to get rid of the Lord here. They bounce tapped creatures. Yeah. Awful trade for me. I guess I can vial that in. And then my opponent gets to destroy my two... Well, more accurately, my opponent gets to attempt to destroy something with Pyroblast at end of turn, and I'll junk Curse Catcher instead of the 2/2. Oh, they're just going to get rid of the Curse Catcher, sure. That probably doesn't bode well for me. So, in good news, my opponent is at 12. I have succeeded in doing some degree of damage to them. But, like, these Harbinger of the Tides and Merfolk Tricksters just, like, are not good in this matchup. At least not in current situation. Alright, let's see if I eat it to a K command here. I activate Vial. I do not. I'm gonna eat a removal spell here on one of these, though. More Pyroblast. I think a lot of the rest of this game is going to hinge on me drawing a True Name Nemesis. Put one of these on 1 and 2 for this turn, and then go to 2 and 3 next turn. Alright. In goes the beloved 2/2. Opponent goes to 10. I think I do kick this in an attempt to take my opponent off of black mana. Sure. Yeah, so I don't get the bonus ability here. Cool, cool. I'm so scared of any sort of mass removal spell. I kind of need my opponent to whiff here and have, like, discard and such in their hand. Alright, no shuffle, which probably isn't good for me. Although that's then immediately Valk into Brainstorm? And they already had a Valk in play? Huh. That's kind of weird to me. Alright, both vials go up. And then here's the hoping no blowouts. Sure, that's fine. Very bad for me, but it's happening. Alright, at this point, as soon as my opponent starts doing their, like, value chains, I think I'm in trouble. I am going to just hold this land and make my opponent respect another one of my cards. I'm gonna see if I can bait a move from my opponent here. I have succeeded. So I have forced a Culligan's Command early, so that my opponent is going to force me to discard this island rather than kill one of my creatures. So there we go. Gotcha. It's not going to matter, like, my opponent's very far ahead here. But it's a pretty good play. Alright. Here is a new Lord. Assuming this resolves, this is a 3/3. Alright. Do I want to trade with this Snapcaster Mage? I don't think so. Any Lord just makes it so that I can ignore this in combat. The reason to trade is so that something like this doesn't get stomped, and I get some more guaranteed value out of my card. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I just don't think I ever beat this deck, like, consistently. They just have so much removal and card advantage. Alright. Life's bad. I can maybe sneak 2 points of damage in around this Bone Crusher Giant. Put my opponent to 5, maybe get lucky with a True Name Nemesis. Alright, yeah, there's the Bone Crusher Giant. End of turn, Merfolk Trickster. Alright, that is blast number 3. Fuck. Alright, I'm moving on to the next round. No. No, I'm not. Like, True Name Nemesis is still an out for another turn or two. But, like, the scale is so far tilted in favor of my opponent right now. Like, they're probably north of 90% to win this game. That was a fast brainstorm. Alright, how bad is it? Okay. Kick. Can't take my opponent off of any color here. Alright, they're just gonna force a will my 2/2. Seems unnecessary. Again, it probably works, but it seems unnecessary. I'm at 4. Like, you force a will a 2/2, and then I resolve a True Name Nemesis. If you just have a Sudden Edict, like, I'll shut the fuck. Why do I play Magic? Concede game. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website, and I've got my Zonksha EDH deck list pulled up here. In addition to just keeping track of, say, what cards you do and don't own, there's a lot more functionality here. You can see the chances of playing various cards on curve. You can take a look at your mana curve, the number of symbols in your deck, or you could even look at sample opening hands and even playtest with the deck itself. Okay, this hand is going to be an auto mulligan. I've got a single land here. That's just not going to fly in this deck that needs to be casting 2-drop lords. Deck's bad. Not a fan here. I guess on 6 I keep this. This does not feel like a legacy hand. I'm willing to bin a Merfolk Trickster to a Force of Will if my opponent does anything scary. But this hand is essentially just hoping to win with a True Name Nemesis. I don't think that holds up in 2022 Legacy. Like, the card's just not that good anymore. Are we getting reanimated? We are getting reanimated. I'm not willing to pitch 2 cards here to bluff that I have more counter magic. But we probably lose game 1 now. Uh-huh. Yes. Do you have Lotus Petal too? Why? Hi. Oh, okay. So they couldn't do it all on turn 1. That, unfortunately, though, probably just means that they have, like, either Exhume or Animate dead. Yeah. F6. We technically, like, have a Merfolk Trickster and can tap that down. But my opponent's discard or, like, producing another creature here, like, both beat that. And beat it handily. There's an Archon of Cruelty. I will not beat that going into play. Oh, cool, cool. So I lose the Merfolk Trickster here. And then Life's Awful. I don't think I erase this. Can't do this for 4 mana right now. Aether Vial is at 1, unfortunately. So I probably lose this to discard next turn. And Archon is pretty likely to happen as well. Alright. How bad is it? Bad. With the Archon in play, I'm going to go ahead and concede. Even if I bounce the Grizzlebrand, the damage is just done here. Let's board in some Leylines. Alright. So I can board in 4 Leyline. Flusterstorm's okay. Am I just boarding out True Name Nemesis? Like, True Name can attack through a lifelinker, but it's just, like, the only thing that is incentivizing me to ever move Vial past 2. So that probably just goes. And most of the rest of my cards are reasonable. Really hard to make Merfolk Trickster and Harbinger of the Tides do the things that I want them to do. Harbinger better than, like, Silvergill Adept. Maybe Silvergill Adept isn't great here. I don't really need to grind. These cards aren't super good either. But Curse Catcher slowing my opponent down 1 turn may be necessary, and Hide Shaper can legitimately knock my opponent off a color of mana. I think this is a mulligan to Leyline matchup. I don't think single counterspell hands are good enough. Okay, deck, I forgive you. A Leyline of the Void hand with a Force of Will backup and a Lord. My opponent apparently is working with a very tough mulligan. They tanked for about a minute and then pitched their 7. Leyline, let's go. And then we'll lead on Island Vial. And life's pretty good. Like, opponent needs a bunch of moving pieces here in order to win through the Leyline, unless they have, like, a show and tell sideboard juke. Otawara's not bad. Cavern goes on Merfolk. And I'll go ahead and just play out my Lord. And we'll see how quickly we can Goldfish my opponent. I'm not super great against discard spells, though. Like, full disclosure there. Okay. Relooting is fine while Leyline is in play. What went to exile? Just mana sources. Unmask targeting me. Well, that takes my Force of Will. That means that Merfolk Trickster is now on attack duty. Oh, wow, they took the Trickster. Or is this just, you're taking both of them? Oh. Sure. That's fine. Yeah, I'm good with all this. Like, very good with it, in fact. Pile goes up. Do I still play this? I'm working towards hard casting a Force of Will. And I just win combat anyway. Yeah, I guess I play it. Alright, so this is other Merfolk creatures you control, notably. Alright, opponent not blocking. I think I feel safe enough to just take my additional point of damage here. I think that's fine, given that my opponent has one card in hand and no reasonable cards in graveyard. This one, though... Sorry, this one is... Other ones you control. This one is symmetrical. Just clarifying for the audience here. Yeah, so I'll take that hit. Stays at 2 pretty much forever. There's a 4th land drop. I'll bash for 6, bring my opponent to 8. Alright, cool. Opponent now knows that I have ley lines. They don't know that that's really going to change anything for me. Alright, I have no mana here, no ley line. This is an auto mulligan. This hand is pretty good. I probably keep this just pitching 1 land. And I have Force of Will to protect this ley line. Now this time around, my opponent has potentially just mulliganed into something that beats the ley line. Yeah. This is kind of a problem here, because this takes my Force of Will. And then whatever my opponent has that can beat a ley line, likely to resolve. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I think I don't play Tide Shaper on turn 1. I think I play it on turn 2, trying to turn that into an island. And hope that that's good enough. The opponent pretty much needs the perfects from here to go off. Nice. I will absolutely kick this. Tavern on Merfolk. Kick this. Add into an island. Yeah. That's definitely scary. I was hoping to avoid that happening. Like, I was hoping they missed that turn. Okay. Some good news. I can play an uncounterable Lord. Not that we're really expecting too many counterspells out of ye old Reanimator deck, but you know, it's a thing. Put my opponent to 15. Grab a Vial. Now, these Merfolk do have Island Walk, so that does count for something. But now my opponent has a Grizzlebrand. So life is bad. It is a big decision for my opponent whether or not they draw the 7. It's pretty fine if they find an Unmask or Grief. I believe they know I have Merfolk Trickster. Oh fuck, they found it. So I'm probably dead now. There's some things that get me out of this, but life's pretty bad. Okay. That's a pretty lucky top deck. So that is exactly 7 damage with Island Walk. This is an island. That is the top deck that I needed there. We take those. Yeah, GG. That was potentially a 3-outer? No. Because Master of the Pearl Trident was, so that was a 7-outer and 51 cards. This deck actually playing enough lands, because I kind of feel like I'm just mulliganing into Oblivion and then ending up with a bunch of, like, copies of Harbinger of the Tides. This is going to be a keep. I'm not sure whether or not I want to keep this Aether Vial. Like, with double Cavern of Souls and being on a mulligan already, the Vial isn't super good. But if the Vial eats a Prismatic Ending or a Counterspell, I'm super happy with that. Let's keep the Vial and throw away the second island. Possible I should keep that island if I'm playing against, like, a Wasteland deck. Like a repeated Wasteland deck, like a Life from the Loam one. Verdant Catacombs. Maybe Elves? Nope. Oh, we're doing this again. Well, the good news is we won last time. Bad news is, fuck. Alright, game 2. Merfolk. Merfolk, great deck choice. Great deck choice. Alright, what do we do? Leylines in. Luster in. I went Brew Name Nemesis out. And 2 Silvergills out, I think. Alright, hand's good. Got a Leyline and the ability to defend it. Alright, there's the Leyline. I'm going to start with Mutavault here. I will lose the possibility of casting a top-decked blue card on turn 2, but there's a lot of times where I'm just attacking with a Mutavault on turn 2 and holding Merfolk Trickster as my pitch to Force of Will. So I think I'm ultimately good with that. Oh. Alright. Interesting keep over there. Leyline not great here. And as the prophecy foretold, it is beats by Dr. Mutavault for 2 points of damage. I don't know that I play Merfolk Trickster, given the opportunity to. That is a scrub land, which is potentially hoping to cast a Serenity, which I absolutely will counter. Oh, it is a Tear. That is worth Force of Willing, although it leaves me with 0, like, good threats. Sorry, Mutavault, like, you are very mana intensive and don't scale up super well. Or that can just happen, though. Alright. That top deck was very good. Very, very good. I'll crash in with Mutavault. After no blocks. Put this in. My opponent takes 3. And now I have double Curse Catcher. I can animate a Mutavault if I need to and sacrifice it. So that's really good against some of the like show and tell plan Bs that my opponent could have. And since Rename Nemesis is not in my deck currently, I can just always know that. Very nice. Boot up Mutavault. Go to combat. Crash in. After no blocks. Tap this. Yes. Lord of Atlantis. And I kill my opponent next turn. So, what you got? Okay, cool. Stole a game. I don't think I'm changing anything here. I'm not, like, interested in Chalice, I don't think. Not really interested in True Name. This is a hand that can tap down a Grizzlebrand a couple of times, but I think I need a Leyline hand. A Leyline hand. A Leyline hand with double Force of Will at that. I think I get rid of the Curse Catcher despite the fact that it's the only castable card in my hand right now. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I want to actually cast cards. Like, I think I just sit here with a bunch of blue cards in my hand defending this Leyline to death. And so when I get around to casting cards eventually, I want the cards to be high impact. Alright. There's an Unmask. I don't care about that. Like, that can take a Force of Will. I've still got another. Correction to the previous statement. I do not have another. Cool. Now I wish I had the Curse Catcher. But I don't think I am supposed to anticipate my opponent having double discard spell on turn 1. Okay, sure. Alright, I didn't get eaten by like a show and tell or something there. Okay, nice. Merfolk. This is technically some degree of disruption. But it's not great. Are you gonna, like... Was that purely fetching to thin? Huh. Okay, things are starting to tip in my direction. Play a Master. Probably play a Master so that everything isn't innately an X1 in case my opponent is playing some random damage-based sweeper. Alright. Opponent will go to 16. I now have 2 Spell Pierces, or if my opponent has like a show and tell. Okay, we win the match. I feel absolutely terrible about this deck. I feel like I have been the worst deck in every round. We're 2-1, so I'll take that. Okay. Assuming I don't get wastelanded, this hand seems pretty good. I, in fact, might make my Curse Catcher counterable on turn 1 as to not get wastelanded immediately. Maybe that's me being a total coward, though. Yeah, maybe that's me being a total coward. Unsure without having more reps with the deck. Alright. I've got a Curse Catcher. Alright. Okay, whatever. I found another island. Awkward, though. I think I'm just going to play a 1/1 Tide Shaper. Considering that, like, I have another Lord in hand that I'd like to play next turn. Oh, lands. Counter target instant or sorcery spell. How bad? Okay, not bad. Alright. Land. Going in for damage. Here's 4. I have, like, potential Merit Lodge type problems to worry about here. Yeah. 4 cards entered the revealed zone. Oh, fuck. Double Mazavith. Yeah, that's fine. I opted to try and keep my power on board to just kill my opponent, rationalizing that they would have a bunch of, like, life from the way type, a lot of Winding Way type cards in hand. I got super punished for it. Tide Shaper's really good, though. So let's cast that. I guess I choose a Maze of Ith. Field of the Dead is a problem, though. These two can attack. This one doesn't have Island Walk. I'm only actually accomplishing 2 points of damage here. That's fine. Okay, opponent does actually have an island now as well. That was a good line. I didn't see that coming. Oh. It was almost a good line. So they almost were able to go and get rid of Island Walk, but they fetched an island, which ruined that. I wonder if that costs them the game. It maybe doesn't. Gonna mana bond all that shit into play. I take 14 here. Or wait, this can block safely. Although the damage amount doesn't really matter. That's fine. Double Maze of Ith here. I mean, I guess there's no thinking about it, right? I'm just dead on the backswing on their turn. I just play Lord of Atlantis, turn the thing sideways, and see if my opponent is dead. I believe the answer is no. Okay. They've gotten rid of their Triome so that they can block this time. Alright, so 2 of my creatures have been mazed. I can do double block, single block. Okay, or that works too. Seems good. Yeah, I went for going and trying to just kill my opponent as quickly as possible, and then, like, the Winding Way hit as hard as humanly possible. Like, as you can kind of see by my board here, I was expecting to kill my opponent, like, very quickly, which is why I didn't counter that spell. So I am dead here. GG's. I accept what happened there. I don't think I really sideboard for this matchup. Like, I can play Leyline of the Void, but I don't want to decrease my creature density. Like, I am looking to get my opponent dead. Because I don't beat their end game. And Leyline of the Void only attacks, like, a quarter of the cards that I care about, if even that. Yeah, I think unfortunately I'm resubmitting the game 1 deck list. I would like to play first. Hand is not great. Harbinger of the Tides is a pitch for Force of Will. Am I just fine playing, like, Lord into Lord? I guess. But this really doesn't feel good. I think I'm going to lead on Mutavault so that if something gets wastelanded, it's that instead of my blue source. Yep. Success. Well, you know, maybe more of an air quotes success. Alright. Cavern on Merfolk. Alright. Mutavault. We gotta talk. Gotta talk, man. You're not an island. I really would have loved an island. Volcanic Island. Oh. No? Seems like no. Just, like, can't let that happen. I think Harbinger of the Tides is worse than Merfolk Trickster. Okay. I am now on 0 castable cards, and my opponent knows it. And I have countered this out of necessity, which means a mulch type effect just resolves. uh, so we basically need to play a Lord into a Lord, and like my opponent doesn't have double red mana to get things out of immediate range of dying to that. But this Lord will die to that. So not super stoked about this whole situation. There's another red mana so that Molten Vortex can just do its thing. Life's bad. And then every treasure hunt, Molten Vortex, mulch sort of card is just late, unbeatable. I guess this has flash. I guess I gotta wait on that. How bad is it? Pyroblast. Ooh, cool. I will play a 2/2. This is miserable. Like, I can play a Lord, and it's just, like, will get Pyroblasted upon entering the battlefield, or Molten Vortexed. I knew Molten Vortex was coming. I could have Blue Elemental Blasted, but that was not something I was expecting. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna continuously throw cards into this and see how it goes. Alright. Trickster junks that. I'm just absolutely fucking stone cold dead to this. I don't know that I can answer this mana bond. Like, I'm going to have very limited numbers of counterspells. I think I need to answer the first big play that my opponent makes, rather than answer this card. Although, like, there's Pyroblast, too. I'm so dead. Yeah. So, like, I'm going to attempt to force this, pitching the Harbinger of the Tides. My opponent will Pyroblast this, and do the whole mana bond thing. Yeah. Am I sacrificing? Probably. I'm just, like, not beating this. Just absolutely buried in cards. Alright. Okay. I'm not sure that my opponent was supposed to put those lands into play immediately. I guess I will play out a Master of the Pearl Trident, question mark. There's some worlds where my opponent misses a land drop, and then I draw another one, and I have some 3/3s. This is not necessarily that world. My opponent could have fetched immediately. Oh, they just drew Treasure Hunt. I'm gonna just let my spirit leave my body and concede here. Like, I'm not going to beat, like, this whole Life from the Loam Molten Vortex thing. GG. I have a hand of Magic the Gathering cards. Unfortunately, 3, technically 5 of them are Merfolk. So is this hand good? It has a lot of value if I am playing against a control deck, in that, like, I have an uncounterable True Name and 2 man lands. But the hand is pretty unimpressive in a lot of ways. Not a very good beatdown hand. Not a very good control hand. So I think this is one of those times where we do the old MTG Goldfish and see if my opponent has a history of playing a specific deck. No results for my opponent. No guidance from me. I think I just mulligan this hand. Opponent says, hey Phil, good luck, love the content. So how good is this versus a mono black shit pile? I don't know. We're gonna mulligan. I think I keep this hand pitching the Force of Will. I don't think I can afford this one. Like, I don't think I can afford the card disadvantage even with Silvergill Adept. And Flooded Strand probably means blue soup pile. Oh? Go on. Echo? Alice on 1. That's okay. It stops my Aether Vial, but I don't really care too much about that. As I've kind of said in the past, I don't particularly like the Echo of Eons, Hullbreacher, Stompy deck list. I just kind of feel like it's weak. Doesn't, like, necessarily win the game with its combo when it executes it. Ooh, Urza Saga I like, though. Oh, okay, this is something slightly different. Now I wish I had that Force of Will, although, like, Urza Saga plus Mentor is, a rough sequence of cards to have to deal with. How am I playing this out? This is the one that I have to resolve. I don't really know how I beat this. Reveal another Silvergale here. I don't really know how I beat this if my opponent can play a bunch of artifacts. And I mean that on two different levels. I'm both not going to beat giant Urza Saga tokens, and I'm also probably not going to beat a Monastery Mentor that makes a bunch of friends. I think I'm kind of counting on my opponent's deck's failure rate here. Alright, no attack from the Mentor. Is good news for me. That Cavern of Souls is also pretty good news. So, this is on Merfolk. My things get Island Walk, meaning that this is pseudo-unblockable. I'm not expecting Swords to Plowshares from my opponent given Chalice of the Void. Alright. So, what is this Urza Saga getting? Maybe like a Lion's Eye Diamond to go with Echo? Like, that's very much something that can happen. My opponent's Clock is scary. They also could just get like a Shadow Spear, and I don't think I beat that card. It is a Mox Opal. Alright, how bad is it? Because I'm scared. Teferi's pretty bad here. I think this tempo hit just means that my opponent attacks me for like 8 and then 20 or something like that. Yeah, 9 this turn. No, 10 this turn, sorry. I forgot to count the LED after it entered play. And then, like, these 2 Construct tokens alone kill me next turn. Like, I can play double Lord and have some decently sized bodies. I think this is the point where I throw in the towel, unfortunately. GG. Urkel's Recall is pretty good here. Balisson Zero's not crazy. Dismember's not crazy. Curse Catcher's probably not particularly good. I'm not very good versus Urza Saga. I'm hoping to like Island Walk past that. Maybe Harbingers of the Tide will kill something this round. I think Curse Catchers are gonna become Urkel's Recall. I probably need the Dismembers. How good is Force of Will? Force of Will's really good against like the Echo nonsense that can happen. Otherwise, I'm not super into it. I also don't want to board down too many creatures. I guess Tideshaver's okay versus Urza Saga. Do I board down on Force? I don't particularly want to remove any creatures. I don't hate Force. I don't love Force either. Like, it's going to be really good in some spots, but I don't know. Maybe I need to play to the board very aggressively here. Let's assume that this is a keep. That's pretty hard to board against for me. Because, like, if my opponent just goes LED Echo, I want Force of Will. And I want very different things for the Urza Saga stuff. I like what my opponent is doing way more than I like the mono blue version of this. So, hats off to opponent in that regard. Alright. Island go. And we'll see what the damage is. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Don't do me dirty. That's probably better than my opponent for me, but it technically puts me +1 card. Yeah, this hand's a lot worse. A lot worse. Alright. Avernon Merfolk. I have some Merfolk Tricksters and some Dismembers. I'm very bad versus my opponent's spells and very good versus their like creatures and Urza Sagas. Here's to hoping their hand also was bad. Okay, we're not particularly bad versus that. This is fine. What is that? Oh, it's a Teferi, sure. Put a Teferi under that. Mentor is fine. And I will dismember that. Or 4 life. And we'll see if there's anything more. That's it. Am I dismembering this monk token? No, I think I'm trying to... I don't care about that chalice. I want to cast Merfolk Tricksters on these Urza Saga tokens. Beats up my mana in a lot of worlds. I don't really have to make this decision now, in most cases. I think we're just letting that happen. Another Cavern. Guess I just put another one of these on Merfolk. I think a couple turns from now, I try to just deal with this monk token in combat rather than actually use a card on it. So, like, I'll just take the one here and be perfectly happy with that. Man, this hand bricked off hard, though. Oh, that's not bad. Let's cast that with a kicker. Oh no, not Chalice of the Void. The ultimate spell at stopping 1-drops. Lol. Nice island. Oh? Maybe opponent didn't understand the interaction there. Seems weird that they wouldn't tap that to make their construct token. Yeah, that's a little weird to me. That 1/1 coming in. 1/1 is not coming in. I think given that I have 2 of these, and I answered the Urza Saga without having to consume another spell, I think I'm fine just tapping down that monk token now. So that I can get a little damage on my turn. Ooh. Delicious damage. Bash in for 5. Put opponent to 11. I have a lot of onboard power. And a little bit of interaction. Not a lot of interaction, a little bit of interaction. This is rough for my opponent if they are getting a Tundra. Like, if they are getting an island, and these things become unblockable, that's not great. Ooh, yeah. I wonder if my opponent realized their mistake there. After fetching. And this is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage showing, assuming that I tap down the monk. I'm not gonna, like, they can attack with that if they want. I'm not gonna cast this until end step. At which point I think I am happy enough to cast it. Okay, I think there were a couple of missteps on my opponent's end there. So there was the Urza Saga not activating the land to get the construct, and then there was also fetching when they didn't have anything other than Tundra, which would have put them further behind. On the draw, do I want more Force of Will to help with Echo nonsense hands? Very possible that I do. Again, though, it's a little hard for me to know what I should board out here. Like, am I the beatdown and I just board down, like, a Silvergill Adept? Maybe? I also could board down some Tide Shaper since my opponent is keeping on the whole Chalice of the Void plan, but, like, Tide Shaper uncounterably is still pretty good versus Urza Saga. So I am hands down to a fast Echo hand, but otherwise this hand is super aggressive. I think I'm going to keep this one. Maybe this is a bad keep on the draw, but, like, I'd be mulliganing towards, like, a 4 of Force of Will. So I don't know about that. Okay, this is a lot of fast mana. Uh-huh. Yeah. How bad? Okay, there is a Days Undoing, so I'm going to have a completely random hand, and my opponent is up a bunch of artifact mana. My opponent's probably pretty favored in this situation. My hand is still aggressive, like Master of the Pearl Trident into True Name Nemesis is respectable. With Merfolk Trickster to help out Urza Saga. But Mentor is a problem right now. So we'll see if my opponent has one. Okay. That's a Merfolk. That's an Echo. Yeah. I don't have Force of Will. Okay. I feel comfortable conceding from that position. Opponent's deck was the better Merfolk deck, and we end up 2-3 in this league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Merfolk still bad. New Lord does not change that. I have never and probably will never like this archetype. This card doesn't seem super good. Like, it's fine, but this is not an archetype changing card. Like, this is an archetype empowering card. It is not an archetype changing card, right? So, like, the one that got printed for goblins, Hordvelt something or other or something like that, that one is an archetype changing card. Like, that changes how goblins is built. That card is incredibly strong. This is just kind of whatever. Like, it's an additional lord, but this is not as good of a clock. So, like, these other lords, like Master of the Pearl Trident and Lord of Atlantis, are 2/2s innately, and this is a 1/1 innately. The Flash and the Curse Catcher ability are kind of neat, and they are going to show up in some matchups. But I'm not really impressed by this deck list. Like, by Legacy standards, this deck is not killing super quickly still. And the fact that, like, counter spells come into the equation except for when you have Cavernous Souls or Vile, and, like, all of the removal is good, and you don't really have enough disruption to really fight back versus combo, I think leaves us in a bad spot for me. Like, the only deck that we beat was Reanimator, and only due to some, like, lucky leyline situations that went in my favor. I could have made some decisions differently in this league, like countering that one mulch that I tried to let resolve in order to kill my opponent more quickly. Like, there were a couple of decision points where I could have played something better. But overall, this one gets a thumbs down for me in terms of power level. And I don't think we're going to clock as hard as something like, say, like a Mentor with a bunch of cantrips or a Minsc and Boo or something like that. So I just don't think we do anything good with this deck list. I'm gonna be honest here. Even when our creatures were often unblockable versus the blue decks, like what was it, like a Grixis deck just like absolutely buried us in removal in a way that we couldn't super fight against. And while the original version that 5-0'd had 2 of the 3-mana Lord, that when you cast a Merfolk, you can pay 1 to get another 1/1 Merfolk, like, I don't think that significantly changes things. And that's also just a Caracasable threat, which is somewhere that I don't necessarily want to be in Legacy. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed watching me be salty about playing Merfolk for the last hour. If you did, please click the like button. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and if for some reason you're a masochist and you want to play this deck list, that information, as well as my donation information, is available in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!